So the second thing that is extremely important when finding your computer is going to be the memory. Now, when people think memory, they think brain. Again, I don't necessarily want to call it the brain. So if anything, I think of it more as the speed. So literally memory, literally think of it as your memory. Okay, so memory helps with our speed and our multitasking. Your memory, which is why I kind of compare it to the brain a little bit more than I would the processor, is because it's keeping track, like your mind does, of everything that you're doing or anything that you make. Essentially, it's keeping track of what you're doing as you're doing it, but it's also keeping in mind other things that you may be doing in the near future. Hopefully that helps. So it's going to help with our multitasking. The higher your memory, the more tabs you're able to have open, the more things you're able to kind of do and maneuver through without the device slowing down. So memory is going to go, if your computer's like old, like ancient, you may have a 2 gig in there, but that is rare. At this point, memory is going to go 4, 8, 12, 16, 32, 64. Our main ones are going to be 4, 8, 12, and 16. Okay. Usually if it is a 1 or a 3, you're going to have about 4 for the memory, occasionally 8 for the memory. So 4 for the memory, again, you do not do much, maybe 1 or 2 things at a time, and that's it. You are checking your email, you're closing it out. You are checking your so-and-so, you're closing it out. Like we're not going to overwork this computer. We're not going to, okay? We're not gonna push it to the limit because it can't take it. It's not. That is why I tend to recommend those for the people who are extremely young or extremely old who don't do a lot of multitasking. If you're gonna have something with 4 for the memory, you need to be a G at computer. You need to be a pro at tab management. You need to know what you're gonna do, when you're gonna do it, and when you're done doing it, you're done. Let the computer know you're finished, close out. Thank you so much. I appreciate you for still working. And of course we get to our 8 for the memory. 8 for the memory, in my opinion, is pretty standard. If you are using everyday Word, PowerPoint, Excel, those things are going to run fine. They are going to run smooth. If you have maybe 3 or 4 tabs open, you don't necessarily need your device slowing down and crashing. Stay away from 4 for the memory. 8 for the memory is definitely the way to go. That's going to kind of help with your speed, your multitasking in general. 8, in my opinion, is pretty solid. It's pretty standard. If you can get more than 8, then I always recommend getting a little bit more memory. Of course, depending on what we're using it for, is the computer thinking about what you're doing, what you have up right now. Okay, they're looking at their email, but usually when they look up their email, they also tend to bring this up immediately after. So that type of thing is kind of keeping track of and keeping the memory of what you do and how you use your device, the things that you use more often, what you're most likely going to pull up, that type of thing. So it's not keeping track of you. It's not a mind reader. It's not, actually, that's kind of its function. Again, 8 for the memory is pretty standard, but if you can get more, sometimes you can find a 12. If not, opt for the 16 if you do heavy duty multitasking. If you're one of those people, no, I always have 8 tabs open. I'm working on a paper, but I also have 2-3 tabs open because I'm looking to study the information as I'm writing this paper, but I also have this tab over here and I'm looking at some pictures. You need 12 or 16. If you're a multitasker, you need 12 or 16. That, period. If you're a multitasker, again, you need 12 or 16 for the memory. That is going to help keep up with everything you're doing as you're doing it. It's going to help future-proof you. Of course, we have 32 and 64. For the average person, I'm gonna be honest, 32 or 64 is overkill. I love the idea of having 32 or 64 because it's just like, yes, I have all the power. Like She-Ra, or like, did He-Man say? Makes me feel like, huzzah! I don't know. Again, overkill. My laptop has 16. If you were with me when I was deciding, like, what am I gonna do? I have a Ryzen 7 16 for the memory, 512 for the storage computer, and it does what I needed to do as far as editing videos and everything like that. So I'm satisfied. I use it for what I need it for. But again, if you do even more multitasking, if you are using those heavier duty softwares, then 32, 64 can only help. If you do any type of 3D modeling, 3264 will help. If you are a Walt Disney producer and you do cartoons and you need quick, fast, in a hurry, and to be with what you're doing, 32 or 64. But also, if you're a Disney movie producer person, you have the money to get the 32 or 64. 16 is going to do what you need it to do. 16 is more than sufficient. Now, if you just happen to find a 32 or a 64 gig memory, which is your RAM, which is your memory, that's your memory. Memory is not the same as your storage. We're gonna get into that next. But if you could find something with more memory for a good price, I just personally feel like yes. Like yes. Yes. You know?